Welcome back, guys. We are here at the Ramoness Championship for, of course, Black Desert Mobile. It's me, Valdez, with Joel, and we are getting into our second region, or final of the night. It will be Asia final. And how are you thinking about this one, Joel?
Well, this one's a tough one because America and also with the Europe one that we'll have later in the day, we have some familiar names that we can kind of reference to in terms of their history of performances and what they have achieved so far. But these guys, all four of these teams are pretty much new faces when it comes to the competitive Ramoness tournaments that we've hosted ourselves. Of course, there are community tournament records of them from the past, but we have to say from the official tournaments that we've hosted over this last year, these teams are fairly unknown to us as to how good they are and what they are able to achieve. And so these are things that we have to sort of wait out for and go match at a time for us to sort of determine the power and the strength of these teams.
Yes, absolutely. As we hope you guys aren't having the same issue we're having at the moment.
I'll just make sure, but I think the volume may be too loud on our set.
Yeah, might just be in our headsets, but that's okay.
But please let us know. Please let us know if you guys are having the ears cut off by any chance. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry to the rip to the headphone users out there. Anyway, guys, we do have the prize pool for the Ramoness Championship here. This one, again, same as the Americas Championship. It is going to be $50,000 total, $3,000 for first place, $1,500 for second place, $700 for third, and $300 for fourth. And if you guys did miss the America region, which of course is possible because different time zones and all that fun stuff, we do have an MVP award, which is about $100, actually exactly $100, and a Dominator award, which is $200. Dominator is awarded at the end of all three regions, and it'll be whoever gets the most points average per round out of all three regions.
Yep, that's how it will be calculated, and it will be done at the end of today. But we have to note that currently, as of right now, Too Much from America has won the MVP for his region, but it's also in the running to be the winner of the Dominator Award for his region. So we have to go through Asia and Europe first to determine if there's going to be anyone who outdoes him in terms of the performance that they will get throughout today. So it's a pretty exciting proposition for us to sort of see and just determine how it all plays out for Asia and for Europe, and that will be playing for the rest of the day today. And it's going to be very interesting to see which team will take that first place prize for the Asia title.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, just to recap, here are the rules. It is best of 5 for the two semifinal matches and the third place match that will be held after the semifinals. And then the finals will be a best of 7. We're alternating the two Ramoness maps, so Temple Raiders for 1 and 3, Keeper of the Relics for 2 and 4, and then Game 5, which we haven't had yet, by the way, Joel. We've had, well, I suppose we did have it in the best of 7. But for best of 5s, we have not had a Game 5. For best of 7s, that was also only up to Game 6. So we haven't had that random map just yet. Will be randomly chosen between the two. And, of course, there is one timeout. We did have one timeout today so far. No changing of the class just yet by any team, but that option is also available if any team wants to use that.
Yeah, we'll still be on the lookout for any team that decides to use a timeout for that specific purpose, trying to switch to a different class based on the strategizing that they determine does change. But as you say, Valdez, the Temple Raiders, Keeper of the Relics, these two maps have been vastly different characteristically of what results are produced for each different teams, because some teams definitely prefer the small trade out of the points with Temple Raiders, but some really want to go all in and show their aggression from the early get-go and really want to just rack in the hundreds of points and try to maintain with that with the Keeper of the Relics. And those two maps vastly different in the how you want to approach these different play styles, and has served different teams with different purposes, but we'll see that the champions that we will determine from Asia has to be good in both maps, I would have to assume.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that works out. We did have some teams that were good on one, and some teams that were good on both, as we saw in the finals. Here are the teams anyway for the Asia region, the Asia final. We do have Queen's Gambit, which is a fun name. Wowza 007, Melee for the win, and of course J1 Legends. They are on the end. Anything pop out to you, Joel?
Pop out about this. There's one definitely that pops out. I didn't expect this last team, J1 Legends, to make it to the semifinals as they did. Could create a lot of controversy for the wrong reasons because Fummy right there is one of our lovely Discord moderators who help us on daily moderation efforts, and a lot of people can assume that just because I run the tournament and people thinking that Fummy's a Discord moderator and Joel's running the tournament, there's this little conspiracy of things going on, maybe me helping Fummy to get an edge or something. But let me tell you firsthand on this, as officially as it can get, Fummy and his team absolutely did exactly what they needed to, nothing more or less, to make it to the semifinals with their own efforts, and I congratulate them for it, but we'll see how they do today because, other than Fummy, Blaze and Sailboats, those two players as well have been doing incredibly well. But Melee FTW, we've seen great plays from them coming from the round of 32-16 to the quarterfinals, so we'll see a tough matchup in the second bracket. But the first team, Queen's Gambit, rather unknown as to the individual player base with Juggerboy, Aquarian, and Bonart. These three players currently are undefeated. And that's something that I didn't come to expect when I first saw their names on the round of 32. But really, nothing has troubled them on their ladder coming into this semifinal. So against Wowza 007, a team that has also done very, very well, we'll see how they do. Of course, that will be our first semifinals matchup.
Yeah, and we did have one undefeated team, one other one, actually. That was in the America region. They did end up going down, actually, even in the fourth place match. So a little bit unfortunate there. But we'll see how Queen's Gambit does. As you can see, they are undefeated, as you did mention. They're playing Raven, Archmage, Phantasma, whereas on the other side, we actually have a Huntress here with two Archmages. So leaning heavily on the damage there, and they have taken one loss. That was on Keeper of the Relics.
Yeah, I mean, Wowza 07, they have been relatively flawless. I think they made a bigger impact on me as a spectator compared to Queen's Gambit, who does have a perfect record. They have sort of quietly made themselves into an undefeated team going into the semifinals for Queen's Gambit, but if they want to show something that they haven't before, I think today is the day to do it. So against Wowza 07, which I believe to be a very, very strong team with a double Archmages and a Huntress, sort of a mixed combo between the new and the old in terms of meta picks.
Yeah.
So we'll see how this all works out because it's a lot of question marks up in the air in terms of which team will get the edge. But game one definitely should show us which direction this should be going.
Yeah, so it's going to be an interesting semifinal. We'll hope that we don't get as many blowouts this time around. We had 2 3-0s, I believe.
Yeah.
And a 3-1 and then a 4-2. That's the way that America did go. But let's see how Asia is going to go. We got our first set ready, so let's hop into that now. All right, we are jumping into the first map here. Of course, Temple Raiders is going to start us off. Queen's Gambit up against Wowza 007. And over in the American region, we saw a lot of trying to funnel some points onto one of the classes that could get away pretty easily. And, very, very slippery, a little bit tanky in some cases. We'll see what kind of strategies we do see over here in the Asia region.
Yeah, this is our second double Archmage comp we're seeing from the entire tournament. That's Wowza 07. It does create a lot of safety with obviously that Frigid Fog, allowing you basically to freeze yourself for a decent amount of period. And you do have that cooldown extension that happened with yesterday's patch, but all the more, Archmage by no exception, they are still a very strong class to play in this Ramoness, especially if you're buying that extra few seconds to secure that victory, and you very well could do that. But Gummy X Bear and Polar X Bear, these guys have been very, very good. Love Now always putting in the damage from the backside. You have to find a way, just as in Season 2 of BDMWC when we had the Huntress meta back in the day, you're going to have to find ways for Bonner, Jugger Boy, and Aquarian to penetrate to the back line to get the damage onto Love Now to make the Huntress as basically invalid as possible, and that's the only way you're really gonna have your advantage over this composition. So we'll see if they can do that, as Love Now still be able to survive since this game has started.
Yeah, well, here in the early game, a lot of what you see is just, you know, some skirmishing. You're going for some mini objectives. You want the monuments and stuff like that. Wowza 007, they are self-described as a bunch of killers. They like to get in your face, and they like to fight, and they like to take you down and kill you. Well, that's exactly what has happened here. It's been really one-sided in the early game, and I'm not sure if this is going to change going into playing for the Lagos. We'll see if Queen's Gambit can make any big steals here, as they're focusing heavily on trying to take down the Lagos, and it is going to go into their favor. We'll see what they can do with that lightning afterwards. Jugger Boy is looking for some kills, and Gummy Bear is low, and they will take him out.
Yeah, their early aggression shown towards the Lagos proved to be vital, as we saw Queen's Gambit basically uncontested for the Lagos from Wowza 007, who didn't put much of a fight to go up against that Lagos. So at that 130 mark, getting that Lagos, getting the lightning, getting that extra kill, as you mentioned, Valdez, that should really carry them into this last minute with this point advantage that they do have at the moment. We'll see if this will be good enough, though, with 1 minute left to go, with 40 points of difference that we see at the moment with these two teams. See if this will prolong.
Well, you can see that Jugger Boy on the Raven is just, he's taking names, you know, he's not even being that passive with all these points. He's just taking more kills and running away with this one. There's 30 seconds left, and there's really not much time for Wowza 007 to come back in this one. Now up more than 100 points are Queen's Gambit. After that early game, I was thinking, man, maybe this is going to be a quick one in favor of Wowza 007, but that is absolutely not the case, as down to the wire here, 10 seconds to go. It does look like they're going to just get rid of some of those walls and pick up some more points for their team, as it looks like there really is no help with the salvation coming in here for Queen's Gambit. That's going to be GG for game one, as Queen's Gambit will take the convincing victory.
I mean, just as they've done for the entire tournament, just quietly and convincingly getting that victory without anyone really knowing. It's just 170 points. That seems like a big impact made, but they did it so quietly that we actually didn't notice the requirements and the step-by-step of how they got that done. So we'll have to just sort of really understand what we should do in terms of in terms of going into the next game. Yeah, gotta stay hydrated. I got my water, but yeah, trying to go to the next game to figure out if Queen's Gambit, this #1 victory, that game 1 victory that we just saw, will it be good enough to carry them to the momentum to go to the game 2 and have that same sort of success?
Well, I mean, as you mentioned, it was kind of just step-by-step, kind of quiet. We'll see what they have for Keeper of the Relics. We actually have that map ready to go right now, so let's jump into it. Alrighty. Here we go, loading up game number 2. Looks like everybody ready to go, loaded up into this one. So Keeper of the Relics, as we did see last time, we got a couple ballistas. It's a little bit more open space. The bushes are kind of along the walls, and so there's more room to just go for some straight up bites, but also you do have the mechanic of the ballista.
Yeah, that was fast though.
Yeah.
Getting that down to about 15% within the first 20 seconds, I believe. Man.
Yeah.
Just as they did with the Lagos from game 1, they're really wasting no time to go for the prime objectives in mind, to go for the ballista, get it down to 50%. Now we see sort of the same movement coming in from Love 9, the rest of Wowza 007. And we'll see how this battle unfolds, because right now we're not seeing any pre-Lagos takes of the ballista. So that probably would mean that the Lagos would be less of a factor, as we've seen from some of the games from America earlier in the day. And it's an interesting proposition to see how this Huntress gets protected for a majority of the match, because In Game 1, we saw that the 100 was sort of protected to a decent amount, but that still did not result them having a lot of impact in that Huntress doing a lot of damage, eventually resulting in that victory. So we're going to have to see some more purpose with what the Huntress can do as the damage dealer for this team of Wowza 07.
Yeah, I mean, especially because we don't see too many Huntresses nowadays. It's pretty interesting to see it come in here and see what kind of success that it can gain as, you know, alongside of the two Archmages, which, you know, is pretty strong at the moment, but they weren't able to win that first game. So let's see what they can do here as, of course, the Lagos has spawned. No Ballistas before this Lagos, so looks like both teams kind of just going to get in there, especially Queen's Gambit trying to burst this one down, and it will go to Queen's Gambit. Bonhart going to pick that one up and looking to win this fight. They will take down Polar Bear and looking to take a pretty strong foothold in this game, up more than 60 points now.
I mean, Queen's Gambit, they went for the Lagos as if it was worth 300 points, but it was just worth 40 points or so. But it really doesn't seem to matter for them. They're just rushing it as soon as it summons. And sort of Wowza looking back from the stands and just watching as if they are the audience and not being able to contest it as hard as they could. This is going to result them being down by about 60 to 70 points at this 1 minute mark. With the Ballista left to go for both sides, it does give the edge over to Bonhart and the rest of the team from Queen's Gambit. Can they do it once again? Because clearly they have the edge. If both of them take out the Ballista at the last second, we definitely know who the winner's going to be.
Absolutely. I mean, there needs to be a difference maker, and this is why you get the Ballista low, but then you don't kill it until you're ready, right? Until there's not enough time
there it is
for your team to actually come back. So Wowza has to take their Ballista now and then try to take some points away from the side of Queen's Gambit and potentially deny their own Ballista death. We'll see how it does go. Lots of low health bars here on the side of Queen's Gambit. Lots of action in the middle here. Looks like Aquarian is going to go just down.
Wow.
And now Bonhart having some trouble. They need to get this Ballista down.
It's too late.
No, they're going for it. They will be able to pick it up, and now they just try to get out of there as fast as possible. 1 second. Oh! 3 points ahead, and they take the win, 445 to 442. They got the Ballista with about 4 seconds left, and that was insanely close.
That was a risky proposition played by Queen's Gambit. I know they're talking. They want to try to, you know, maneuver one move at a time with the team then they kind of want to propose. But Queen's Gambit, they did the right thing of taking the Lagos, getting about 60 points, and just kind of building up on it, getting the eventual lead that they will have, even if they were both simultaneously able to take down the Ballista. But at the last few seconds, they almost weren't able to take it down, just like 4 seconds left to go, as you mentioned.
Yeah, and that is such a clutch win because now up 2-0, and they're going back on the map that they looked much more dominant on. So that third map, by the way, is ready. So let's jump back into Temple Raiders now. All right, back into it. Here we do go. So Temple Raiders. This has been a pretty clutch showing from the side of Queen's Gambit. Note that they were behind in the early game on Temple Raiders the first time around to Wowza 007, who were able to chip away a lot of kills early on. This time around, we got 3 kills consecutively here from the side of Queen's Gambit.
Yeah, I mean, pretty closely contested for games 1 and 2, but eventually going with 2 victories over to Queen's Gambit once again today. Now they're up 2-0. Could be another quick series ending in 3-0 if they are to take another Temple Raiders away from Wowza. Right now, at this moment, it seems like they could just go to the finals without anyone knowing exactly what just happened, because they do all the right things and they end up with the victories, but I don't know. I just can't remember one single player from Queen's Gambit that made that all the mighty the contribution to say that they were the victors at the end. But it's for us to really figure things out on exactly where the strengths of Queen's Gambit lie, because whatever they're doing is working.
Yeah, slowly but surely and quietly, as you described it, they have been able to take these leads in pretty clutch moments this time around. They're having some pretty good orb control. It does look like Wowza 007 has been able to chip away some kills in these recent times, but lower health bars as the Lagos nears its spawn timing. The three of them coming around the bend here looking to get in and attack. They're looking to take out Aquarian, but Aquarian actually is able to turn that around onto them and be just fine with that one. Juggerboy picking up the lightning as well. He's getting in their face here. He's going to take out Lovna, and that's a nice little boost to their points right before the Lagos. Going to take them off the map and potentially just take this objective away.
So fast. Look at the rush.
Yeah, we'll see. They do get it again. Juggerboy with that last hit again. This guy has been huge for his team. He's going to pick up another kill with the lightning, and this one might be all she wrote, Joe. We still have some time.
It's just too far behind.
Yeah.
I really don't see Wowza coming back from this one because they have absolutely no control over the map, and that's not really due to the discredit of Wowza, but it's more to the credit of Queen's Gambit gaining full control of this map as they've shown in Game 1, but to the more of an extent on this specific Game 3. And look at that lightning just going all the way forward. And Juggerboy, he's just strolling around, getting the kills, and doing exactly what needs to get done to get the victory. And look at him with 86 points, completely untouched.
Yeah, just total map control. They've been keeping at least one member of the opposition off the map at all times and just able to tether their kills one to another. And Juggerboy has been able to hold on to an immense amount of points here. Another one, another salvation. He's just going to have so much survivability uptime.
Hey, is it fair to say that we think if we finally found an impactful player from Queen's Gambit, Juggerboy, he's been on our radar for just about the games 1 and 2, but now he's surely making a name for himself with that Raven. We know the Raven, with the recent adjustment that the class itself got, it became a more of a skill-based class, and Juggerboy, skills? Yes, sir, that's it is right there.
Well, yeah, as you mentioned, I mean, there is one guy that kind of stands out, and that is Juggerboy just coming in here and essentially carrying single-handedly as well as making the opposition look silly by himself. Like, that's about the highest praise we can give one player. So absolutely a very astonishing and fun performance to watch there from the side of Juggerboy. And, of course, with that 3-0, that does mean they move on to the finals. So congratulations to Queen's Gambit with their sweeping win.
With a blink of an eye, they do get the 3-0 as if nothing happened. But they are in the finals, one step closer to winning their first championship in an official tournament setting from Pearl Abyss. And we have BRC prepared for all these people who really want to contest themselves in a completely balanced out setting. We are in the top 4 of things for Asia, a region that we've known always to be very, very competitive, especially on the PvP realms. And we got 4 teams, particularly brand new faces for all 4 teams. And we'll see if Juggerboy and the rest of the boys from Queen's Gambit can go that one step further, whoever their opponent may be, to just do exactly what they just done and maybe just win the championship.
I mean, I'm watching these highlights as you're talking, and it's kind of just like the Juggerboy highlight reel, which is pretty insane, to say the least, because the way he just maneuvers in and out of the fight at exactly the right times, he gets the last hits as well. This one was a little bit of Bonhart getting in here and getting that last hit, but Juggerboy was creating so much commotion all around the map. I mean, look at this guy. He's just like all over the place. So hard to hold him down.
Yeah, I mean, their aggression towards their opponents on a PvP aspect hasn't been the biggest when compared to some of the American teams that we saw today, but their aggression towards the neutral, especially the important ones, towards the Lagos, towards the Monument at the center, it's absolutely big. And that's, I think that's one of the big priorities that we sort of go unmentioned as to how important that can be. Every time that this team went for the Lagos, especially in Temple Raiders, pretty much uncontested by the other team, and that's sort of the reason why they get these 50 points, 60 points advantages throughout games 1 and 3, and sort of in game 2 as well. And that eventually builds up to them securing a high percentage victory for each and every match they play.
Absolutely. We saw on that the Keeper of the Relics map that Juggerboy had about 330 points, and he got knocked down with 2 seconds left, and he had about 5% health. That could have, if we had 1 or 2 more seconds, that easily could have gone to the side of Wowza 007. So a very clutch map there for Queen's Gambit. A bit unfortunate, of course, for Wowza 007, but that's the way these games go sometimes. Very down to the wire, and so pretty fun in that one.
Yeah, we have Queen's Gambit now firmly still undefeated. I think they're currently the only undefeated team within the tournament so far, counting the America wins and losses that we saw from there. But right now, Queen's Gambit, officially, they are the only team that has more than 7 victories without facing a defeat. I'm excited to see what this team can do, because whoever the other team is going to be from the other bracket, whether it be from Melee FTW or J1 Legends, both of these opposition will put up a good fight, and I'm actually excited for the finals preemptively before even it happens.
Yeah, I mean, any finals with Queen's Gambit in it, I think is going to be fun. So that's going to obviously be pretty hype. Guys, we do have the second semifinals waiting for us. Of course, first we have to take a quick 10-minute break. So when we come back, we will get to that second semifinal. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. We're here at the Asia Final Championship for Ramoness. Of course, it's me, Valdez, with Joel. We got done with the first semifinal. That was really short, actually, as Queen's Gambit made quick work of Wowza 007 with the 3-0, taking all 3 maps in a row. And now we're going to be moving on to our second semifinal.
Yep, the second bracket. We're looking at the right side of the bracket, looking towards 2 teams that we're still trying to figure out. Melee FTW, Itsuness, Sir JC, and Moon. 2 of these players definitely come to mind in terms of I've seen them before, I've seen how they play, so I sort of have an idea for how they do, and that is Itsuness and Moon. I've seen them participate in previous small tournaments before that we've hosted for especially the custom event mode when that was first arriving for people to test them out. We saw them do that, but against J1 Legends, very familiar names for me myself, Sailboats, Blaze, and our dear Fummy. Of course, once again, there is no rigging involved in terms of how this team made it to the semifinals. I just wish them the best of luck, but we'll have to see how this goes. But interesting to point out that Melee FTW might just have the most interesting team composition with a Grandmaster that we're seeing for the first time, with another Berserker and a Destroyer. You want us to look at the charts over here for a bit? Yeah.
So, this is not meta. This is not what we've been seeing. It's almost like a bunch of great players took a random composition into a tournament and they just kept winning with it, so they just kind of kept going with it. I don't know if that's actually what happened, but
pretty accurate. I'll just say, like, every time I look at my observers and say, who won? And they're like, Melee FTW. And say, who was that again? And say, the team with the Grandmaster and the Destroyer. I'm like, again?
Yeah.
And I asked that question again, and from round of 32 to round of 16 to the last week's quarterfinals, and here they are in the semifinals. That same composition still making a lot of success. Of course, they are at 7 wins and 3 losses. Not the best records of teams that made it up here, but they're still here for the semifinals and up against the fairly meta composition that is being brought by J1 Legends. We'll have to see how this game 1 unfolds, because as we know, the first impression that you make does live to last quite a while in this tournament.
Absolutely. So, guys, we do have that first set ready and waiting, so let's hop into that right now. Alrighty, here we go. Obviously, some of these classes here for Melee FTW are going to be a little bit bigger than what we've been seeing. We've seen a lot of Archmage, you know, the female characters kind of running around doing a lot of damage. These guys are kind of just going to get in your face and punch you a lot. So let's see how this one does go. Sir JC already having some fun getting in there.
Yeah, for Asia, America, and Europe all combined, we've seen, other than Sir JC, we've had 1 other Destroyer the entire tournament. And this is from 32, I don't know, 32 times 3, what is that, 96 players. Only 2 players out of that entire pool have decided to even play a Destroyer in this tournament, and one of them is in the semifinals.
Very interesting, for sure. And so far, I mean, they're not having a lot of success. Actually, the damage output and the kind of engage and you know, lockdown potential that J1 Legends have brought in with their composition has proven to be a bit better here to start, but Fummy is going to bite the dust. As I say that, so will Blaze. So I just cast to curse them, of course. And it's going to be pretty even here, actually, as we move in towards the Lagos spawning.
Yeah, we did mention the Destroyer being very rare sight to see in this tournament, but this the Grandmaster that we see as his teammate is a little bit of a different story. It's sort of like the Raven, sort of like the Invoker, this very, very much skill-based class. If you're really good at it, they become God-tier classes. And for Strikers and for the Grandmaster that's being played by Moon, we've seen a total of 9 appearances throughout the tournament, but they do have the highest win rate of 78%, winning 7 games and only losing 2 so far. So the people that want to dare to try to play the Grandmaster in this tournament at this level. They've done well so far, so we'll have to see what Moon Moon can do with the Grandmaster against this team of J1 Legends.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what the the Lagos taking potential will be like with the comp of this manner. Obviously, we've been seeing a lot of Lagos is turning the tides in these finals that we have had. It is being burst down right now. Let's see
that's
who's
a
going
good
to take
take.
it. Oh, it is going to go to the side of Melee FTW as they do take it down. And now they've got that on Moon Moon, who has been kind of running around here. He is going to pick up that Lightning.
I actually thought that the red side with J1 Legends did a very good job of penetrating towards that 5 health bar Lagos that we saw. We saw all 3 just rushing in there trying to rush that down as fast as possible, but Melee FTW were still very composed to secure what they started, and they are now ahead for over 100 points in the deficit that we see with J1 Legends. We'll see if they can keep this going with another Lightning come from Insinus. This is looking quite good for a game opener for Melee FTW.
Yeah, just all turned by securing that Lagos, getting that Lightning here on Temple Raiders. Always very, very important. And with 2 seconds left, that is just about going to do it. No way to hop on to any of those other members and steal their points. Icinus staying alive up until the very last second, even with low health. So big win there to start us off for Melee FTW. And how did you feel about their comp? You think it's got some potential?
You know, Destroyers, they do a good job of creating a lot of distraction.
Yeah.
You know, they fire just fireballs up from the sky, and they just fly to the other side of the map with their rocket launches. And they create a lot of attention for the other team. And once they do that, the other players with obviously the Grandmaster and the Berserker putting out that burst damage, they can do that. It seemed to work out for game number 1, but I would have to say that shouldn't be their winning factor for them all the way to the championship. And obviously, Fummy and the other side from J1 Legends would have figured out exactly how to deal with this very non-meta composition, which becomes difficult for people who want to study typical composition that they can expect. Once they get something like this, though, it takes a game or two to kind of figure things out how to best approach it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, looking forward to seeing that again. That was pretty fun. Let's jump into set 2 right now. All right, off we go. Keeper of the Relics here for map number 2. And, of course, getting right into the action here is Surge AC, not wasting any time getting onto that Ballista.
Looks very tanky for some reason, and the Ballista's down to 15%, so mission accomplished for Melee FTW at the beginning of this game. And neither side really opting to defend their own Ballista, so they're sort of going for this hand-in-hand agreement of, you know, we're going to get both our Ballistas down to 50% health, and we'll wait for the last few minutes to see exactly what to do with it. But at the moment, we're not going to see any early takes of this maneuver, which probably will mean that the Lagos that will summon in about 1 minute or so is not going to be as significant as it can be. So we'll see how that turns the tide for both these teams.
Yeah, looks like early salvations for both sides, so no one really gonna take too much damage before we do get into taking the big objectives here just yet. The Monument of Battle, currently the main thing that we're mostly focusing on here. Moon Moon did take a lot of damage actually, but able to pick up some orbs in the meantime. Just a bit of skirmishing here as Fummy, everybody's favorite Discord monitor, or moderator. I don't know why I said monitor. I'm looking at the monitor right now, I guess. Well, he is, he's almost dead.
Well,
he's staying alive for now.
Well, similar to the Huntress that we've had from Season 2 of BDM WC, where Huntress, Paladin, these two were the go-to picks of that era and of that meta. It's not as much anymore. Instead of the Paladin, people usually go for the Phantasma, which sort of does that, a little bit of the control unit in addition to putting out the damage. But Fummy just wants to go for the old and classic Paladin that seemed to work out very well for him and his team for this tournament. Now they're in the semifinals where right now the Paladin isn't doing as much as he would like for the contribution to getting their victories, but they're seemingly kind of relying on Blaze and Sailboats to put out that burst damage with the Berserker and the Archman that they are. And it's still a lot of figuring out as the points aren't swaying to either side quite yet in this game too.
Yeah, J1 Legends a slight lead, but this Lagos here worth 49 points. We'll see who eventually does take that down. As it looks like SurgeHC getting into the action here. Going to be trying to tip away at it, but actually just go for the objective just yet. He's not really the main guy to try to do a ton of damage. He's going to be looking to disrupt some of the other members here. So the Lagos is getting pretty low, and there it is, back to Melee FTW. They will pick up the Lagos for a second time.
It is a 30-point setback for the side of J1 Legends, but both teams do have the ballistas ready to be taken for those extra 300 points. We'll see in these last 20 seconds whether they're going to actually go for it, because the red team is quite far away from it, and the blue team will be able to get this now and get the 300 points. But 10 seconds left to go. Where's the red team going for the opposition ballista?
Well, they did get it, but there's nobody that's low on this map right now.
Wow.
I mean, nobody on either team, so there will not be any more points traded. And another win here on Keeper of the Relics will go to Melee FTW, and a pretty convincing win once again.
I wonder if Game 2 is sort of letting us know of a little bit of miscommunication between the teammates of the red side with J1 Legends. They were sort of hesitant to whether to go for the ballista, whether to defend their own base. Then once they did, they just were kind of just left standing, not knowing exactly who to go for, because everyone, as you said, were in full HP, and there was really nobody to go for in these last 10 seconds to try to get a kill.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's kind of like they ran out of time, you know? And
Sure.
Part of that was because of the timing of taking the Lagos. I feel like there were some moments where Melee FTW had control of the middle of the map, and they certainly could have just tried to burst it down, but they waited. And then when they had their opponents at the weakest time, they took down the Lagos and their opponents with the help of the Lagos and the Light. So certainly worked, and they left the enemy team with very little time, and they were able to take that win.
And now it's sort of a dilemma for J1 Legends to see what they can do in Temple Raiders, which they didn't look all the great in that game number 1. Coming into this game 3, this has to be a win for them. Otherwise, they're going to go down to the losers bracket to see what they can make.
Yeah, we'll see if they can pull off the reverse sweep as we head back into set 3 right now. Here we go, once again, Melee FTW up against J1 Legends, 2-0 at this moment in time. And we'll see if that changes and becomes more even, or will it just continue to be this interesting off-meta composition from Melee FTW that continues to win?
Whoa, that damage though coming in from J1 Legends, but they do pay it back for Sailboat, who does go down. But actually saying, for whatever reason, this composition is working. And at the moment, SurgeHC with that Destroyer with top points, he can just roam around the map anytime he wants. Get the ice, get the healing, and as long as he remains alive, there's really nothing that J1 Legends can do if he just flies around like that.
Always fun to watch the Destroyer just kind of flying around here. As I say that, he dies. So, Caster cursed again, but either way, he'll be back. And back into the action. A lot of focusing on just skirmishing here as we start off in this game 3. SurgeHC is kind of taken on 2 by himself, has Isis come over and try to help out a bit.
I mean, he's taking the blunt of the damage. He is dying, but that doesn't mean his team is facing any defeat as well, because SNS is completely safe. The Grandmaster is doing his thing with 13 points. SurgeHC dying is pretty much the least of their problems at the moment, because the rest of the team is flourishing, getting all these objectives, getting the lightning, getting these kill opportunities, which they will do once against Sailboats, almost getting that kill, and they actually do.
They do get the kill. Moon takes a lot of damage in the process, but he looks pretty safe for now. As I say that, though, he is getting right into the middle of the action next to that Lagos, so in a pretty dangerous spot here. See, Iciness comes over, helps him out, as does SurgeHC. They're keeping those points. onto Moon Moon at the moment. They don't want to lose control of the middle of the map right now.
Well, it's about the Lagos thing. I think that's going to be very important in this specific game with both players from Melee FTW with Moon Moon and SurgeAC all fully low in the HP. This is actually the perfect timing for J1 Legends to try to rush this Lagos if they are well aware of the HP situation of their opponents. And we'll see if it comes to that.
Yeah, they're going to try to burst it down as we speak, and they will actually take it down. Sailboats with that take onto the Lagos. Still do have a minute left of time, but that is a huge swing into the favor right now of J1 Legends.
Yeah, timing-wise, that was the perfect opportunity for J1 Legends to grab that Lagos, to grab those points, and even follow up with that Liney to get additional kills. And here they are, 91 to 47 with 40 seconds left to go. They look like they have the go button to say that they're going to try for this reverse sweep that we were sort of praying for just because we want more games to be seen. I think we're about to get this with this game 3. As long as they remain alive, Sailboats with the Archmage, you can really count on him with that Frigid Fog to do just that.
He's going to stay there in his ice, go into the brush, try to stay alive. There's really not much hope of them taking him out. You can see Moon Moon is desperate, but it's not looking too good. He's also got Ice Nose over on him, but the Frigid Fog once again.
Yeah, cat and mouse all day long, and the Archmage will take it. There's no way to be able to catch up to that. And I think it's because this is where the composition sort of fails to make the difference for Melee FTW. Got the Destroyer, doesn't do a lot of burst damage. You got the Grandmaster, doesn't have a lot of range to chase after the Archmage as such. And the Berserker, same reason. You're not going to be able to get the burst damage unless you get the range on him. But Archmage, if you got the points, you can run away all day with it. So giving it off to Sailboats was the perfect situation for J1 Legends. And handily, they do get the Game 3 victory. Now we're back to a series.
Yeah, it does feel like we're beginning to see some of those weaknesses of the composition. And maybe they kind of rely on bursting down the big objectives and then holding on to that with some of their strong classes that they do have, but we'll see how it does go as we move back on to Keeper of the Relics for our 4th set right now. All right, off we go. Back onto the 4th map here of the best of 5. They don't waste any time getting in there and just bursting down that ballista to very low.
We are going to see this game 4 will be the clincher for Melee FTW, despite the setback that they experienced in game 3, to be able to close this out and get themselves into the grand finals. And they're very much able to do that as long as they remain controlling of the objective that they've shown in games 1 and 2. They can do it again here. It should be an easy game for them to get themselves up to the finals, but J1 Legends, as they've shown in this game 3 that we just faced, very much challenge accepted, and the challenge will be sent upon to see if this will be another one to really bring the series back to an even one to go for us to the game 5 that we all wanted.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it does pan out that way. As you can see that SurgeAC, he just loves to be in the back line. He just loves to annoy the more squishy members on the side of J1 Legends. Get in their face, disrupt a bunch, and see if he can pick up any kills. There he is again.
Chasing. I mean, the Destroyer, I would have a lot of fun in Ramoness myself if I was the Destroyer just going for orbs every single time.
Yeah.
An orb pops up on the complete opposite side of the map, and you're the first one there. Every time.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is the way of the Destroyer. That is what he does, although we have seen some of his weaknesses as well. And there have been a bunch of these early kills because of their aggression right before the Lagos spawns, but they're okay. They want to go with their full health bars and try to take them down, and then maybe go for the burst onto the Lagos. That's going to be the kill onto Sailboats. Now they're looking for Blaze, you can see up there on the top side of the map.
Yeah, Blaze is doing much better starting in game 3, gaining the control that he wanted to as the Berserker class that he is. He wants to keep this going and just remain tactful of the mission in mind. The Ballista will be a later proposition that they're going to worry for, but the Lagos at the minute with 46 points, not being greeted over by either side. This might be the first game where Lagos isn't a top priority for these two teams to decide who the winner is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a minute left, so they are going to go ahead and try to burst this one down here. You can see Sir JC
by himself, though.
He's getting in there, but he's not going to be able to get the last hit. That will be given to Sailboats.
Simply a lack of communication from the blue side. You saw that Sir JC was all by himself, and the Lagos clock was ticking, and just going down. It became such an easy take for the red side. Now they're going to be having this 117/42. If both sides take the ballista at the very end without any punishment, it definitely should be us going into Game 5 to see who the winner is going to be.
For sure. I mean, we've seen Sailboats and what he can do once he does hold on to these points, and he is just so hard to lock down for this team of Melee FTW and the composition that they have brought in. So they're going to take down the ballista. There is 10 seconds left. They're trying to deny their own ballista from going down here, and with 4 seconds left, okay, finally they're going to get it.
Tommy gets it.
Some kills going their way, though, but there's not enough time, and that is going to go the way of J1 Legends, and finally, we have our first Game 5 of the entire day.
This is going to be our first random map matchup, so we don't know if it's going to be Temple Raiders, if we don't know if it's going to be Keeper of the Relics, but all the more excited as to what this series can turn out to be. So we're going to just wait for this one, go into Game 5, and sort of wonder actually who the better team is at this point. Games 1 and 2, obviously the non-meta composition looked very good and very convincing of what they can achieve. But games 3 and 4, the more meta composition kind of formed together, kind of figured out their opponents, and now they're in this driving mode of sort of understanding how to really close out these matchups.
And that's the way it goes sometimes. You go up against something you're not used to, and you say, I don't really know what to do. You know, how do we figure this out? But then you figure it out over the course of a best of 5. So, guys, we have both teams taking a timeout, both of them. So there's potential to actually switch up their compositions here in Game 5.
It would be interesting if all of a sudden that Melee FTW just goes to a totally meta composition. That would be a surprise towards the opposition, let me tell you that. Because they know how to play against this non-meta comp at the moment. But it's just Sir JC just goes to an Archmage, and we see a couple of Phantasmas here and there. That will be a shock towards J1 Legends, and sort of understanding how to figure them out. It might be a shock to them.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I can definitely imagine something like that happening. You know, because one of the things we mentioned is like, maybe it's like 3 really skilled Ramoness players are like, you know what, guys, let's have some fun. Let's play a really weird comp. And if things really get bad, then we go play, I don't know, like double Archmage and Phantasma or something. Like, but I don't know. We have yet to see. I'm very curious to see if either side changes anything. I suppose J1 Legends maybe want to change something up. Maybe they've been inspired by the Destroyer. Imagine that they come out with their own Destroyer.
Yeah,
like,
if Fami comes out in Game 5 with a Destroyer, I will pat him on the back.
Respect.
Online patting, and you know what? That's the best type of patting. All I'm telling you, you know, Destroyer, it's good for what it is, but once it's figured out, just not as good as Muriel.
I would be curious to watch that though. That sounds like fun. We haven't gotten any word about if there has been any switches on the classes or anything like that. Still waiting for the teams to decide. Of course, both teams, as we're mentioning, have the option to go for a timeout at any time in between the games, rather, and they can change up their compositions. So that's kind of what we're talking about during this timeout.
Since we do have a timeout, I guess we can go a little off topic. A lot of people in chat asking why my mask is shaped the way it is. So I talked to you about this, Valdez.
I know.
When it's like this, and I just keep talking, it just kind of slips down like this.
It's happening to
me
too.
But I found out a maneuver. I found out a maneuver when you just fold it slightly.
Is that still
down at the bottom? Down at the bottom.
Yeah.
And I open my mouth. Doesn't happen. It works. It works. You might want to try it out sometime. So that's to all everyone in chat that's been asking about my mask. I am not wearing it upside down. I am not wearing it backwards, inside out, whatever you guys might be thinking.
Well,
I just folded the little inlets. That's all I'm
doing. I've been having that trouble where it slowly comes down as well.
Yeah.
And then I kind of look like Squidward.
Hey, I love Squidward. He plays the clarinet, I play the clarinet. We're all best buddies. That's all I'm telling you.
It was one of the best characters of all time, for sure. Squidward.
Squidward.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we got off topic and we went to Squidward. That's
we did.
my
We
fault.
made it all the way to Squidward, and that's about as far as we're gonna go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Timeout. It means a lot because they want to sort of just calm down and just reassure themselves that this Game 5 is just another game. Of course, that will decide whether they make it to the grand finals or whether they go to the losers bracket to go to the third place match. But it will be just a game for both of these teams. That's what they have to keep in mind. No matter which map it is, we've seen varying results from both sides where they've done well in Temple Raiders, they've done well in Keeper of the Rose, and other games they did not. So they have to kind of, both teams, if I can say anything to them, I think you just want to take a fresh approach of understanding that this is just one more game that you have to face. And the better team that wins will make it to the grand final. So I think no pressures on them for that.
Yeah, you know, it's hard. Now, instead of a best of 5, it becomes a best of 1. You get one more map, and it's random, so that's also a little bit scary. So it looks like set 5 is ready to go. Let's hop in and see what map we're playing.
Just might be Temple Raiders, I think we are.
Yeah. Looks like it is. And both teams have won a map on both maps. So, you know, we haven't noticed between the two teams who is more, you know, happy with this choice of the Temple Raiders. Of course, a choice by a computer as it was randomized. And we'll see who is going to take that win and who's going to take the advantage here and move up to the finals.
Yeah, and still no class changes by that timeout that we saw. Isn't is very, very low, and Moon Moon down low as well. And speaking of Moon Moon, we thought we would see some greater impact coming from the Grandmaster. Maybe in games 1 and 2 we saw glimpses of that, but mostly it's been pretty quiet towards the side of the Grandmaster as to what it potentially can do, but it hasn't really gotten that done. Game 5, proving point for this.
Yeah, it all does come down to this, as once again, it does look like Melee FTW is having a little bit more trouble in these early games nowadays. They take a lot of deaths, as they're really not holding back at all. They're just trying to get in there and do as much damage as possible. You know, give over some points, maybe you can take them back with some later kills, but so far, you know, as we were talking about, figuring out Melee FTW's composition, which, by the way, I think we should say, neither side changed their comp. They just used those timeouts to discuss what they wanted to do in terms of strategy and stuff like that. It does feel like J1 Legends have kind of figured them out. We'll see if that does continue into Game 5.
It definitely does seem so for games 3 and 4, where they clearly have a mindset of how to approach this opposition. We've seen that in Temple Raiders and Keeper of the Relic. So maps, that wasn't really the differing factor for how they won those games in the previous 2. But at the same time, Melee FTW, they're completely not out of this quite yet, and they do have all the chances in the world, especially if they get around to the Lagos with Blaze really, really low. I think this is actually a perfect timing for blue side to really strike on the Lagos and pounce on it.
This would be the time, and take a look at the points. They're so even until this Lagos does go down to Melee FTW. They do make it happen, but Isonus dies actually right as the Lagos is going down, so not a huge lead, at least just yet, for Melee FTW. The Lightning not able to get too much damage done.
Still, just imagining that they didn't get the Lagos and the opposition got it, they would have been much, much farther behind. So this is very good of understanding the timing of when to pounce, and they really did go for it. It was basically a 3-1 at the end on that Lagos take. And we'll see if this kind of prolongs here with not many seconds left to go, Valdez.
That was so cool. Sir JC, he was so low. He got salvationed up, and then he hopped in and essentially 100-0'd Sailboats. They are just dominating them in the middle of the map, and Melee FTW are taking this game into their hands. They want to go to the finals.
Yeah.
And it's looking pretty good that they should be able to here. Moon Moon, he doesn't even have the most points on his team. They're very well evenly distributed. They would probably have to kill all 3 members in 12 seconds in order to try to come back.
Away, there you go.
There it is. Just flying away with his rockets, with his jetpack Away goes the Destroyer, and that is going to be Melee FTW making it up to the finals in 5 games. They do not get reverse swept. They do clinch it in the end.
Hey, no matter how small that Lagos take did look initially, I think that really was a snowball that they needed to really clinch themselves a victory. Getting that line in to prove a little bit of more aggression against the opposition, not being able to do anything if you're J1 Legends at that frame time. And now we're going to the situation where they got that crucial salvation near the end. You saw that getting towards the Destroyer and chopping in to the opposition, getting the kill 100-0 on that Archmage was very, very important. So with a series of plays that went into their favor, Melee FTW, I think I have to say, the Lagos take was very decisive and very well deserved to how they got the victory at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see a bit in the early games, you know, game 1 and game 2 that Melee FTW did also win. Their Lagos control was very on point. They waited for the right moments when the enemies were very low or they were dead. They were able to push them out. Their timing was, you know, very, very strong. And they were able to bring that into Game 5 eventually as well.
And it's a little bit unfortunate for Game 5 to say that the Lagos take could have been a little bit towards the side of J1 Legend, only if Blaze wasn't as low as he was on HP, making Sailbut's Fummy and completely responsible for defending the Lagos. Because I think Blaze did really, really well throughout the entire series, and I think he was one of the key factors as to why J1 Legends were able to push it to this Game 5. But it's just that one moment in play when you don't have enough HP. Obviously, you can't go for the Lagos. Even if you take it, you don't want to lose all those points right back. And that's why it's in a situation where Game 5, J1 Legends was in an unfortunate situation, but Melee FTW read that like a book and understand how to take advantage of it. And obviously, when we go to a game number 5 of the highlights, you guys remember, that is pretty much what clinched it at the end. So props to Melee FTW for understanding the situation that they were in, being decisive, not wasting any time, and this is the reason why they're going to go to the finals.
Yeah, I suppose at the end of the day, in this semifinal at least, Melee was for the win. The 3 Melee composition came in and did dominate here.
I guess if they chose to change their classes to an Archmage, that would have been very, very different to what their team name would have been.
Exactly.
So kept their name, they kept true to their name. That's all that matters, Valdez.
That's really all this tournament is about, staying true to your name. We'll see if J1 Legends can make it work in the 3rd place match, which, of course, that will be after this. We don't go directly into the finals. We do play that 3rd and 4th place match to see who's going to take the bronze crown and some extra money.
Yeah, J1 Legends will be back on that matchup. We will see them go up against Wowza 07. And Wowza, I think still they have a lot to show that they haven't been able to show in the semifinals. I think they've shown great plays from the preliminary rounds, from the round of 32, round of 16 to the quarterfinals. So I'm sure that they're really wanting and they're really desiring to show a lot more than they did in the semifinals. So now we're going to go to the 3rd place match after an intermission, of course, and see what they're all about. And J1 Legends, once again, a redemption match definitely is needed. They would at least want to go home with a 3rd place match, just badge on their marks. I think that's what they're really going to go for at the end.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying in the America final as well. You know, that 3rd place match can be a lot about pride. You know, you want to get in there and prove that, you know, we put up a good fight in the semifinals, and we did great here in the 3rd place match. We got very close to winning the whole thing, but it just didn't work out. And so it'll be fun to watch that. We're taking a look at some of the highlights here from that final map. As it was, you know, it was pretty close after that Lagos, but eventually they just, I don't know, they used that momentum from the Lagos and totally crushed it.
Right there, when Surge AC was just about to go down, rocket launch. That's all you need.
See you later. I'm gonna go flying now.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
We've seen that. No, they did exactly what they needed, and really, I think the plus and the advantage of having a very, very unconventional meta composition that we saw from Melee FTW is that you really put out that requirement towards the other team for you to figure them out and take a couple of games to do it. And that means you have those advantages to go over the opposition for those couple of games that the other team needs to figure you out. And I think Melee FTW in this instance definitely used that in games 1 and 2. Games 5, they were just clearly the better team of understanding the decision making that they needed. But really, they're using their advantage to their full throttle, and I think they will deserve it in terms of going to the finals.
Absolutely. It'll be fun to watch them in the finals. But first, we're going to take a 10-minute break. When we come back, we will have that third place match. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Delore La Sylvia. Your ambitions will lead to your destiny. Now take the hand of the distorted goddess. The cold star shall arise once more. Over my kingdom of Calphia.
Welcome back, guys. We're here after the semifinals. We're getting into the third place match to see who's going to take that bronze crown, who's going to get some extra money, and it will be between Wowza 007 and, of course, J1 Legends, who did fall in the semifinals. How are you feeling about this matchup, Joel?
Both teams will be thirsty, hungry, and any sort of lacking feeling emotionally, anything that you want for a victory. Because both teams, I think they knew they had it, what it takes in terms of making it to the grand finals. Neither teams did. So we're here at the third place match, and I'm sure this team, either of those teams, wants to exit this tournament to make sure they at least won one part of the match. And I think they're going to be looking for this third place match really aggressively, trying to take that victory.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, again, we saw this in the last third place match we had over in America. It was a very close match, and it did end up being a 3-1, but every map was very hard fought and very close, as I mentioned. So looking forward to this one as well. Obviously, these records aren't updated after their losses, but you can see that they had pretty decent times making it through, only dropping 1 and 2 maps respectively, through the other stages of the bracket. So certainly a couple of strong teams here that will be going head-to-head.
Yeah, Polar Bear, Gummy Bear, I think they did exactly what they should have as the Archmages, but I think the person that will be wanting a lot more is Love Now with the Huntress, unable to show exactly what the full potential of that is. But at the same time, on the other side, Blaze is going to be knocking himself after that Game 5 loss because honestly, he's been playing extremely well for the other games before that. Not that he's played Game 5 really bad, but timing-wise, he was just dead at the wrongest time and unable to contribute towards that Lagos fight that eventually happened. Now this would be so easily towards the blue side at the end, which contributed to the victory. Yeah,
for sure. So we'll see if he can redeem himself and if everybody else can as well in set number 1, that is right now. All right, off we go, back on to Temple Raiders here for our first map of this best of 5. And wow! We're reintroducing the map. There we go.
We're re-gaming, Valdez.
Well,
you don't know what to say after that, don't you?
Yeah. Because we're not actually re-gaming. This is the real game.
Yeah.
That is going on.
Lovna almost regained himself after he almost died, but he's still alive.
He's going to be able to get some healing there, and should be okay. Although you can see that I may have cursed him here once again. Oh, no, actually he is able to stay alive pretty well. Sailboats actually is the one that does go down. Nice support there from Gummy Bear.
Yeah, one of the reasons why the Huntress is not as popular in these times is because of the lack of mobility, and that's funny to say because I think the biggest highlight that we praised the Huntress for during the time that she was meta was because of her mobility, being able to skate around the field as effectively as possible, but it was just the innate just the movement of the dive that you want to talk about. It's a role for most of the basic early characters, but now we have the recent characters. It's just like a point-blank warp to the other side when you see that with so many characters. And now we have the Huntress, just because of that mobility disadvantage that it does have, even with the high damage that it still brags about, that it boasts about, it's still not considered as high tier as it once used to be. So with Love Now, it wants to find a redemption for this specific class, but it hasn't been able to find that yet through the semifinal. Let's see if we can do it in the tournament.
Yeah, and see how he does, also how Blaze does. Looking pretty good over there, 29 points so far. The Lagos has taken a little bit of damage. The lightning now coming out from Gummy Bear's looking for some damage, but can't really find too much, actually getting a little bit low himself. And now Bummy gonna use that timing to come in here first with Phase.
Very good.
Blaze rather, and that's gonna be an easy Lagos take there, going to the side of J1 Legends as they're making this map look pretty easy here, Joel.
Yeah, taking a page out of the handbook of their previous opponents with melee FTW, understanding the precision perfect timing to go for the Lagos there, as allows that most of the teammates from there were just even around the Lagos to really contest it, and it made it so easy for the red side for J1 Legends to get that Lagos now above 60 points or so, and this will make it so easy for them to grab this first victory. I don't imagine these last 50 seconds will be a turnaround, as I think the build-up will be even larger for the lead for this game, just because of the state that we're in at the moment. The two Archmages and the Huntress doesn't have enough time to come back from this one.
Yeah, and they don't really have much of a front line either. They're kind of just running around the map. They do a lot of damage, but especially when they get behind, they can just be run down here by the more balanced composition of J1 Legends, who are just running away with this one. More than 100 points here now, above the 49 that Wowza 007 do have. So pretty one-sided in this first one. Joel, not much else to say about this. A very dominant performance. Blaze getting a little bit low, but
a little bit greedy, but it's okay.
There it is. Not even sure if that would have mattered anyway for the point swing. I don't think it would have been enough because they were so far ahead. So a very big win there from J1 Legends, trying to make a statement here in this third place match.
Finding their true selves, it seems like J1 Legends is what they wanted to show in the semifinals. They showed partially of that in games 3 and 4, but just couldn't able to clinch it in game number 5, which is the reason why they're here in the first place. But this game 1, that was very characteristically J1 Legends type of playstyle, with Blaze on the front line, doing that massive burst damage as a berserker while controlling the field, and the other two just helping out to make sure to fill in the gaps that they don't have that filled, and really looked good in that game 1. I imagine that playstyle would not change, especially against the composition that they don't have a big front line with the two Archmages and the Hunters. So as long as they stay consistent of understanding what they're needing to do in this game number 2, I would imagine making it tough for the opposition to come back from this one.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was a pretty fun one. It looks like we do have game 2 already in it. So we took a little bit of extra time to do some analysis, but we are right into this one. As you guys can see, game number 2 back onto Keeper of the Relics has already started.
Yep, game 2, we're still looking out towards the fact that two Archmages and a Huntress, while it has been pretty successful for the duration of this tournament, semifinals didn't look all that great, and now we're coming to this third place match. Still not as convincing in game number 1. So in this wider field where the range characters of the Archmages and the Huntress seemingly benefits off of this playing field, we'll see if this does a little bit better for this team of Wowza.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they can put up any kind of fight here up against J1 Legends, because, again, it kind of looks like a super one-sided match, maybe even more than what Queen's Gambit were able to do to Wowza 007. But again, that was only one match. We've seen some turnarounds already in this tournament, so let's see what they can do here as, okay, they're going to get a kill here on the sailboats. That's a start.
Well, it's not major. They still can get the Monument of Battle. They have full control over it. Unless Blaze steals it, yeah, not going to.
Yeah, not going to happen there. Blaze actually goes down himself. Going to respawn now. And, yeah, just going to hold on to that one. Gummy Bear with a lot of points at this moment in time on that Archmage. We'll see how he can survive.
You know what's happening though? Wowza's getting these minor advantages one by one, and it eventually does build up towards a surmountable amount of just factors that they want to carry on to the end of the game. But it really has to be J1 Legends. All three of these guys has to be the aggressors to just kind of stop them from trying to gain these small advantages, make sure they can stop them in their tracks. They're doing a good job for now, but the Lagos is going to be the next person in question.
Look at this control. They had Salvation up, and they had just taken down a member. That's going to be an easy take here for J1 Legends, as they do have the burst damage onto the Lagos after taking control of that objective. The light comes out here, and they're going to just melt the opponents here already. Again, almost 100 points ahead, and now they have surmounted that at this point in time with a minute left.
Yeah, Fumi with top points, 77, getting that Lagos with 143 above 34. There's really no reason for this team, J1 Legends, to go for the Ballista early. They can just get it at the last few seconds and pretty much will clinch their victory, because I don't think any of these three players will go down by the full range composition that we have from Wowza, because there simply isn't enough control when they don't have a neutral going into their favor.
Yeah, there's really not much time here. The amount of salvations that have come out, I think there were 2 for Wowza and 1 coming in for J1 Legends. As you can see, they're just kind of up against the wall, trying to run away, and Blaze even going to take down the enemy Ballista at this point in time. Not really much time to take out Blaze, who does have full health, rather.
Yeah, salvation.
Yeah, and they still had to take out the enemy Ballista. That is just not enough time to get any work done. Another easy win here. Gonna go to the side of J1 Legends.
And I'm not even contesting that last Ballista at the end because they knew calculation-wise they were not going to lose that match as long as they don't lose those points. But, I mean, Blaze getting that last bit of Ballista, getting the salvation, no way he was going to lose any of that 300-plus points. And here we are, Game 3, and it's still a best-of-3 matchup, and it could be the very last game before we head on to the finals.
Yeah, I mean, the way this is going, it does look like this might just be a quick third-place match, but we'll see how it goes. You know, we don't want to count Wowza 007 out just yet, but certainly some of the games that they have lost have been pretty decisive. So we'll see if they can change anything up as the third set is ready to go. Let's jump into that now. And of course, we are moving back onto Temple Raiders. Just going to give it one last shot and see if anything can change up this time around.
It's Game 3. Very well could be the last game of this series, and this is going to be one more of a reason why J1 Legends are kicking themselves for not playing a little bit better in the semifinals, because I think their potential was a little bit higher than what they actually showed in that semifinals, and they are here in the third place match looking very, very dominant. But if they would have just gone back in time and maybe done a little bit better than they would have, I think they would have really thought that they could have the chance to go to the finals if they could do it all over again. But, you know, this is the present time. This is where they are, and they have to look towards this Game 3 of trying to finish this out and try to clinch that third place with a rightful victory that they can get in Game 3.
Yeah, we'll see if they can close it out. This early game has been going pretty nicely in the favor of Wowza 007. As you can see, a very nice early lead at this point in time, and even some low health bars for Fummy. But they're looking for Polar Bear if they can potentially pick him up here. He's pretty low. But doing a good job of just surviving at the moment, as it looks like the red team here, J1 Legends, focusing more on some of the objectives at the moment at the time.
Yeah, the point swing is very much in the favor of Wowza at the moment, and he's very aggressive. Didn't he be that aggressive though? Of course, he's not losing many points when he does it, but he's losing a lot of time, in addition to a lot of the teammates that we see from J1 Legends not being able to do much at this present time. 966 going into 150.
Yeah, it's this is a very different look. So maybe Wowza looking to turn this one around potentially. Now, the game is not over yet. We still got a minute and a half. Polar X Bear is getting dominated here in the bush as I speak. He is, he's going to go into that fog.
Ooh,
and
does get away.
Yeah, man, this is the power sometimes of the Archmage. Can be so slippery to get onto. Not too much damage onto the Lagos, and again, more deaths on the side of J1 Legends. Wowza 007.
And at this point, Wowza doesn't even need to go for the Lagos. Make sure they can defend it until the very end, hold that position tight, and as long as they can secure the positioning around Lagos, this should be an easy victory for them in this Game 3.
Yeah, they even have the lightning there, although the Lagos is going to go the way, and a lot of low health bars on the side of Wowza 007. You can see they're trying to run away at this point. Lubna looks like
this is the Huntress.
Yeah, he's just going to go down there, just barely. And now there is actually potential for the side of J1 Legends to come back. We've got 40 seconds. They're only 13 points behind.
Yeah, knocking away Polar Bear is going to be a good start for that. He's pretty low with no stability in sight.
And they get the monument here. That is so clutch. 30 seconds left, and they might have just done it.
Wow.
You're going to see a lot of freezing here at the moment, but the lower health powers now on the side of Wowza, and really not much time left. They would love to take out Blaze, but I don't even know if that's enough points here. Lots of objectives as well going the way of J1 Legends. I think they might have just clawed this one back, and they should be able to take this third place match in a pretty clutch final game here, and they do secure the 3-0 in favor of J1 Legends.
Very well executed in that game 3 to make sure they knew what they were doing in terms of the late game. They did not panic at all, even amidst the 966 points down at 150 I mentioned. In a matter of 1 minute or so, actually, the game completely turned around in their favor. And we got Fummy, we got Blaze, we got Sailboats. These 3 guys came in as some of the spectators were thinking, how well will they do in this tournament? Are they just going to be a mean team filled with Discord moderators and his friends? I mean, they came to the semifinals, but they did what they did. And even with this 3rd place finish, they did it with a certain sense of style. And they did it with a certain sense of conviction and really allowing us to really understand that they absolutely deserved that the result that they did, and now here they are 3rd place convincingly. And I think this is a good finish for them, see if they come back for the next season of BRC.
Yeah, you know, it could have gone either way in the semifinal as well. I mean, they could have just as easily gone up to the final, and that's, you know, they should be proud of that. That's like a really solid 3rd place finish, right, where they got so close to making it. So good stuff from J1 Legends. Unfortunately, Wowza, they will go without actually a single win, getting 0-3 in both of their best of 5. So a bit unfortunate for them, but maybe they can come back next time with a bit of a stronger performance, as we saw some potential from them. I wasn't a huge fan of the Huntress this time around. I thought wasn't doing too much overall, but you know, we'll see what they bring the next time around.
It's fair to say that with this being their first experience on a live stage for Wowza, all 3 players, it really could have just been the nerves of not allowing themselves to play to their full potential. And here they are, semifinals. They looked very different. First of all, I have to mention that part. I mean, I saw their games one by one, coming from around the 32, around the 16 to the quarterfinals. They looked really good winning those matches, and here they are, semifinals, didn't look themselves, and even to the 3rd place match, game 3 looked the best of what they could have done, but obviously did not maintain full control of that until the very end. And this is the reason why we stand here today. Wowza is not going to get any of the wins that they wish would have hoped for, but they will go home kind of thinking to themselves what we could have done better, and maybe be hopeful for a next appearance in the BRC.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with that in the future. But for now, guys, we will have a 10-minute break. And when we come back, we will have the final match. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And we are back, guys, here at the Ramoness Championship for the Asia region. And so far, it's been pretty even, I'd say. There have been a couple of blowouts, but other than that, we did have a fun best of 5 before. And now we are getting into the finals, which will be a best of 7. And we'll see how it goes, Joel.
You know, we sort of thought to ourselves in the American matchup when we went to the finals that, man, this could be a really close one, and just going back and forth, we don't know what to expect. But this one, I'm sort of leaning to one side because of one team in specifically who had such an easy sailing throughout the entire tournament. Currently, they are 10-0. They have not lost a single game getting to this grand finals. And I imagine Queen's Gambit would also think that this would be a relatively easier matchup considering that it is a grand final for the entire tournament. But at the same time, we've seen surprises come upon for Melee FTW when you have 3 classes that you're really just not well aware of how to play against. And we'll see if that plays a factor in this grand finals, at least for the first 2 games.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Melee for the Win's extreme composition does work against what Queen's Gambit is running, which is a little bit more standard on their side. They looked very calculated. They actually said that, you know, our name is Queen's Gambit. You know, we play like you play chess, very methodically and systematically, they quoted. And that is certainly the way they play as well. They have really talented players, especially Juggerboy, I think was the star of their first best of 5. And they're also running a pretty, I would say, meta composition, something that works really well together. And having someone like a star on to the Raven who can really use it to the best of his ability in Juggerboy is also a great sight to see.
As you said, Valdez, the Archmage and Phantasma completes a team, but what starts off a team for this specific side, I think it is Raven with Juggerboy, as we know Raven to be one of the skill-based classes where the better you are at a certain class, the more effective it actually can be. So Juggerboy on that Raven full throttle as he showed his exemplary performances in the semifinals. I'm sure he will try to do that again. And for the other side, we have the old Grandmaster from Mumu, who's supposed to be that other skill-based class that we didn't see too much of despite their victory in that semifinal. So if he wants to show something, I think Game 1 would be a great starting point for him.
Well, we'll see if Melee is in fact for the win, or can Juggerboy and his friends take over on the side of Queen's Gambit. Let's jump into the first set of the finals right now. Alrighty, off we go on to, of course, Temple Raiders. To start it off, and there goes the Destroyer. Say hello to Sir JC. He's going to be in your face all game long.
Yeah, when you can jump from one side of the map to the opposite side of the map in 1.6 seconds, it beats a lot of our modern day vehicles that like test drive for fast acceleration. But when you have a jetpack, you just don't beat jetpacks, Valdez.
I think they're the most fun as well, like of the propulsion engines, if you will.
I guess you had to experience first-hand experience on jetpacks.
Yeah, well, not yet, but hopefully in the future. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how this works out. I mean, it's pretty interesting this matchup too, because Queen's Gambit, they defeated a team that went on to go 0-3 in the third place match, whereas Melee for the win, yes, it went to 5 games against J1 Legends, but then J1 Legends crushed in their next match. So maybe they were the stronger team, and that leads into part of the reason why Queen's Gambit's win was much easier for them. But really interested to see how this one is going to go because of that. And you can see that actually it's going pretty well for Melee for the win so far.
Yeah, it is that Game 1 where you look towards these first 2 games, especially for a side like Melee FTW, really counting on the chances that your opponents have to take a few games to figure you out, and these first 2 games are the ways to do that. They have to just prolong that as much as possible to take that advantage and try to get some games off of it. Game 1, as you say, Valdez, looks good for them so far, so we'll see if this leads on to an eventual Lagos take, which will surely cement the victory in this round.
You can see that Icinus kind of has to run away a little bit here. He's pretty low. Moon also taking some damage. And with the Lagos already taken, you know, a little bit of some of those chunks, you can see after pushing Melee for the win out here,
this is a good chance.
Bonhart and Jugger Boy trying to get that down, and they will secure it. Really nice timing. Really nicely planned and systematic from the side of Queen's Gambit. They're going to pick up a bunch of kills on the back of that with double lightning here. And they're looking pretty strong now.
As per their team name, the descriptor for what that team name means is calculated moves every single time. Queen's Gambit knew they were on the advantage of making that right move to go all in into the Lagos, and Melee FTW had no contest whatsoever going up against it. It was an easy 3-1 fight, and they were going to take away the victory. Now 132 above 68. With 43 seconds left to go, it just doesn't seem like the surprise factor is going to play in the favor of Melee FTW, especially in this game one.
Yeah, some of those early skirmishes did look good for their side, but okay, let's take a look here. Bonhart is going to be taken out. We still got 25 seconds. And actually, Melee for the win have been very good about getting on top of these low members. Jugger Boy, he was knocked down. They might actually be able to take him down here, and there it is, 15 seconds left. All of a sudden, this game is totally flipped on its head, as Moon now, he's got to be the one to get out of here. You can see Aquarian desperately trying to get on top of him, but with only 3 seconds left, that is going to be the game going the way of Melee for the win at the end of the day.
And we were talking about the Grandmaster Moon coming to really requiring to show his plays and taking advantage of that 1 CC that got the Raven knocked down, and that is free target for the Grandmaster to come in on that melee range and just to go for all the damage in the world. The combos working spectacularly, and then getting that crucial kill in the end for that comeback finish. We thought that Lagos would have been gone in an instant, and that would have really clinched their game for the blue side, but Movement coming in at the clinch moments at the end as the striker that he is to show exactly what the class can do. And this is a good showing for game one, and I think this wasn't really the surprise factor that contributed to their victory. It was really just understanding the right timing to go in and making the right plays when it counted.
And this is shaping up to be a really interesting final too, because I was not expecting that kind of a comeback, but clearly Melee for the win are very skilled and really good at this game. So let's see what else they have in store here up against Queen's Gambit going into game number 2. Now we are going to be jumping on to the other map here, Keeper of the Relics. See how this one does go.
It is very, very difficult for a team like Melee FTW to get a victory in Keeper of the Relics just solely because of the fact that there's such a wide playing field. It's so large, and as all 3 melee characters, if you want to try to get in their faces, has to be a lot of mobility. Of course, Destroyer does have that, but that's not towards everyone else. We'll have to see how this works out. They will have big damage in situations like this to get the Monument. That's pretty expected, but otherwise, can they get the right objectives to remain and maintain that control for the rest of this game here? Because game 2 victory for Melee FTW would really be a surprise factor to all of us watching here.
Yeah.
And it will be exciting, very exciting to watch.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if they can actually pull it off, is the first question that I do have. Does seem like Queen's Gambit is focusing on targeting one member at a time now, you know, trying to get onto those, again, melee characters, those melee classes that, you know, can be isolated, and you can use their range and high damage to try to just focus down. But so far, it looks like Melee for the win have been able to answer that. Of course, the high mobility here of the Destroyer on display once again, and he's even going to get in there and take out Bonhart again.
And I'm actually liking the fact that Moon is being very patient for the right timing to go, and he's not just single-handedly trying to make all the difference, but just kind of hanging out in the back, seeing the playing field, because he knows that once he gets caught in the wrong position, there's no getting out. Really waiting for Icinus, especially on the Berserker, to make that initial CC play, and for Moon to follow up on it. We'll have to look at this guy. He will be the deciding factor whether this team gets another win or not. And this Grandmaster has a lot on his shoulder. Once he pulls it off, I'm sure his team will thanking for it.
Yeah, from one side of the map to the other, they're looking to try to focus
Very
down
nice.
Bonhart, and he is just gone. This is exactly what you want with the Lagos is up and already chipped down to about half health. Try to take down 1 or 2 members and then burst the Lagos and use those points to eventually sail to the victory. See what they can do here as now Juggerboy taking a lot of damage. You're looking to focus him down as Iciness is doing a good job of distracting the other 2 members.
Okay, so it has to be Iciness maintaining control of his HP bar. He's down to pretty much 20%, but he's still going aggressive. I think that will be decisively good if they can get the kill, and they do.
They take out Aquarian and they make it look kind of easy, to be honest. I mean, they're just going to get on top of him.
Good chance to get Lagos.
Yeah, now they're going to look to focus this one down. Juggerboy trying to get in there, but he is not going to be able to steal away that Lagos, and Melee for the win.
So low though. Everyone look at the HP bar on the right side. The moment these guys give off the points, that Lagos take will not have been worth it. They do survive 2 of the members so far, but they're still very low on health. A salvation would be very much at the necessary end.
They would love to get that right now. They also got to take out this Ballista at the moment in time to catch up. 10 seconds left. They will do just that. They're about 100 points ahead. And Iciness just needs to run away. That needs to be his only thing. And with 1 second left, he will. Ooh, just barely able to survive. Actually, one of the members on the side of A-Team here. Of course, Queen's Gambit did go down, so I was thinking maybe.
Man.
But now it's 2-0 all of a sudden for Melee for the win.
And you know what? We make predictions of all we want, but theory crafting around, Queen's Gambit is undefeated. Are they going to lose a game? We don't think so. Then we go to the other side of the bracket. Against a very strong team of J1. They did really well to clinch them out.
Yeah.
And now we're sitting here really theory crafting of what this all meant for all of us. Melee FTW just might have been a really, really strong team altogether.
I mean, exactly. This is what we were talking about, how the third place match kind of gives you the, the relativity, right? It gives you the context of, how good exactly was this team, that they 3-0'd Wowza 007. Now, they're all really strong teams to make it to the semifinals, but I'm talking about relatively, so pretty interesting to see now. I mean, these Melee characters are getting it done, and we'll see if they can do it again as the third set is ready to go. All right, here we go. Back onto Temple Raiders here once again. And, we can talk about how, obviously their name is Melee FTW, Melee for the win. Playing 3 Melee characters generally say, oh, maybe very tanky. They like to disrupt a lot. They have so much CC, and they're all really mobile at the same time, it feels like. These 3 classes in particular. So it feels like, even though they're all Melee, they certainly know how to get the job done.
I mean, it really feels like, as unconventional as this is, each role really fills the lacking of others. The example, I mean, you got the Melee characters really look for mobility to make sure they can travel to the right places, get something to set up for, and obviously we know the Destroyer can do just that, of making that happen. The Berserker does a good job of controlling the field and allowing that CC sort of stuff to initiate. And Moon, once he finds the right opportunity, the damage output potential with that combo is immense. But to provide that in the first place, you really need a good setup from the team. And I feel like Sir JC and Iciness does exactly what they need to do to really make that happen. So far, it is working for them in these first 2 games. Game 3 will really make a bigger statement about whether this was not just a fluke, but coming into this Game 3 will be just consistent enough to say that this team deserved those previous 2 victories, and getting the 3rd one will get that one step closer to winning the championship altogether.
Yeah, for sure. It does look like a pretty good start this time around for Queen's Gambit, at least. They've got Moon pretty low as well with a nice 30-point buffer. And the Lagos has spawned here, so they're doing a pretty good job of, taking away some of that. But Iciness is able to come in here with the side of Moon and look to isolate a couple of their members. They will actually take out both Juggerboy and Aquarian. at a very nice time, and now they're going to look to focus out this Lagos.
But the Lagos is pretty high in HP. That will be enough time for Juggerboy and the rest of Queen's Gambit to come in here. So it's not much of a secure Lagos. This is enough time.
They're still going to go for it, and they have secured it on top of that. But Moon Moon and Sir JC did go down. Doesn't look like it'll matter too much, as the lightning coming out here from Ramoness is doing a nice amount of damage. Gonna pick off Von Hart on top of that. So a nice little buffer here, about 60 points now for the side of Melee FTW.
Yeah, this is up to Juggerboy and Aquarian to really go ham against Istinus to get a chunk of that 86 points to get them right back into this game. With just one kill, they can come back very, very easily, and they're on their way to do that now.
Now we're seeing what they can do. Istinus is desperate to try to get out of here. You can see,
it is.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be taken out, and now it's a 6-point difference. Really anybody's game at this point in time, extremely even. And now exactly even, 105 to 105. As you can see, Aquarian now a bit on the run, looking to see if he can join up, but Juggerboy is going to go down at a very unfortunate time.
Oh no, Aquarian caught out.
Oh, they used their crowd control, and they're going to take down 2 really important members with exactly enough time. There is nothing that Queen's Gambit can do, and this is looking like a 3-0 now, as the third map will go the way of Melee FTW, as they look to potentially pull off the sweep right now.
A really unfortunate case for the side of Queen's Gambit, as pretty much this game 3 should have been theirs. They had the control, but the moment they scattered and left one player each parts of the map, that was just easy food for the other team to really take. And Melee FTW, they're not going to let those chances go behind. Taking one by one, getting Aquarian at the end was pretty much the clincher of getting all those points back into their favor. And it was, I think, more of the mistakes coming in from Queen's Gambit more than anything else that led to the loss that they could have turned into a victory. So a little bit unfortunate of a case, but they do have one more chance, at least, to try to come back into this one.
They've got one more chance, and they're going to have a lot of one more chances. They're going to have to win 4 in a row, and who knows, maybe they'll take their time out now and, you know, take a little bit of time and say, whoa, guys, like, what's going on? How are we losing the 3 melee? This is, how can we deal with this? But, you know, I mean, at this point, I think all the talking in the world might not help them, because it does look like they are just too solid, but we'll see how solid exactly they are as the 4th set is ready to go. Let's hop into it now.
So, thinking about whether they would take a timeout or not in this potentially last match in the Keeper of the Relics, no timeout called. The producers told us that both teams were ready to go, and it seems like Queen's Gambit, Melee FTW. Surprising factor for the opposition? Well, it's a surprising factor for all of us. Looking like Melee FTW will be the strongest team from Asia, at least at this point.
Well, I mean, 3-0 is really convincing. If this were a best of 5 in the semifinals and these 2 teams played, we'd be singing the praises of Melee FTW and saying, man, this team looks unbeatable at this point in time. But of course, best of 7, we give one more chance over to the side of the team in the finals here, Queen's Gambit, see if they can actually pull it back. But these games have been convincing. At least the last map was about as close as it gets.
And the thing that I'm really looking to see is that Juggerboy, once he did so well to highlight himself in that semifinals, no spark of brilliance from him just quite yet. We've seen moments from Orion, we've seen moments from Donut, just barely, but Juggerboy, we expect a lot from him, being that skill-based class of Raven. I'm sure there's a lot of expectations from his teammates as well, but not really being able to show that throughout the first 3 games, and now it just might be too little too late, as we're in this potentially the final game where they really have to make something happen.
They got to make something work here, and it is, of course, on Keeper of the Relics. So, see how they feel as yet another dominating kill going to go the way of Moon Moon here. Nicely isolated and done.
Oh my god.
He does it again! This guy is insane! How can they keep getting away with this is the question I want to ask.
They're scattered. I think that's the problem, and it becomes more of a problem in this giant map that we have with the Keeper of the Relics. When you have all 3 players, Aquarian by Jugger
Yeah.
Boy by 1, and Bonhart just all by himself. There's a reason why you get caught like this, and you don't even need a setup if you're Moon going 1v1 right here.
Here we go, looking for the Lagos. This one is going to be taken by Aquarian, comes in with the clutch steal, and will get that light. He's going to look to help out here up against Moon Moon.
Too aggressive.
Yeah, and Moon Moon is going to be able to skirt his way out there. So, actually, you know, the Lagos, not too many points. We're still pretty close in this fourth map.
Yeah, I think despite the points, that this is a statement maker more than anything, that we have what it takes to get the advantage and to roll over, to snowball it to a potential victory.
Yeah, there's a lot of damage being done right now. You saw that Moon Moon went down. Isinus getting pretty low, so is Sir JC. Looks like maybe Queen's Gambit have found some footing here in this match. But let's take a look and see how this one finishes off. The points better spread out on the side of Melee FTW. Maybe they could try to target Aquarian and they get him perfectly. All
that
three
dive.
of them. The three of them just jumped in together with perfect teamwork and isolated the guy with the most points.
Like watching a nature documentary when a cheetah just pounces on the wildebeest. That's what it seemed like at the moment. Three of these members, all three of them from Melee FTW, just diving in towards the prey of of the Aquarian, of course. And we're going to see this 343 points being hovered by the Archmage. Can he hold on to it?
10 seconds, that's really the question.
So close.
They just got to hold on to their points and they should be okay here. 3 seconds left.
Is this going to be it?
Oh, and they get the extra objective, and that is going to do it. 4-0 sweep for Melee FTW in the Asia Finals. Unbelievable. This is not what we expected, and a crazy, amazing performance from Melee FTW.
If you ask me, based on my observations from round of 32, round of 16, and the quarterfinals, for all the games that I have seen, for all these 4 teams, I think Melee FTW would have been the last team that I would have called to become the champion. But in a 4-0 sweep, though, absolutely stunning, and it really did prove a point that once you have mastery over certain classes, meta doesn't matter anymore.
I mean, it's like they came in here, they made a funny name, they played to it, and maybe they didn't even expect to go this far, but I don't know. When you're this good, maybe you just expect to win everything no matter what you play. And that's kind of what we saw here, but I think it also came down to their teamwork as well. I think that last moment with that kill onto Aquarian on that last map, that was really where we all kind of like collectively nodded our heads and were like, yeah, this team is just too good.
Yeah, we were convinced.
They're just too good.
And the communication, we really have to credit to that. We obviously don't hear word by word of what they're discussing within their chat, but you have to imagine the communication is rock solid. Hence that play in that very last game. And really understanding, wait, are we missing something?
No. Okay. I was just saying,
You're pointing out something at me. I was sort of panicking just to make sure I didn't miss anything.
No, it's, because we do have to take those 5 minutes, right, to discuss the MVP.
We were just so excited.
I know.
And at this point, it's fair to say that neither of us have any idea who to actually pick for MVP, so this might be a longer discussion than we would have thought.
Yeah, Melee for the win as MVP.
Yeah.
No, we're going to have to choose one guy.
There you go.
We'll see if we can actually do that. But, guys, we're going to take a 5-minute break. We're going to leave you to watch some of the highlights here. And when we come back, we will have our MVP ready to go. So we'll see you in about 5 minutes. Welcome back, guys. There we go. We are here, and the decision has been made. But I think we do have to take a look at the bracket first, potentially, to see, how everything shaked up, was shook up here in this tournament.
It was a tough one to call. We'll get to the MVPs later, but we have to announce the champions, of course. I think they're really well deserved because I don't think a lot of people would have called them to become the #1 pick in the end, but if we're ready to just show them who the champion is going to be, we can get right into it. But Melee FTW, I mean, I'm sort of wanting to hear your thoughts on what you thought of the team today.
I mean, clearly Melee FTW, the composition is non-standard, but I think when you get 3 guys that are all on the same page and playing with such amazing communication and, just all on the same page, they all have the same goals in mind, and they're all working together. It's not something we always see from these 3-man teams in the Ramoness, but they have kind of mastered that idea.
And I'm sort of wondering, since we usually see the MVP come from the winning team, and see exactly who this might be. Would it be Moon? Isn't it Sir JC?
It's hard to pick one, isn't it, Joel?
It
so
really is.
Let's go ahead and reveal the MVP of this side of the bracket. It is going to be Juggerboy from Queen's Gambit.
Second place team, but the rules does state that it doesn't have to be from the first place team that the MVP comes from. It's just defining the most impactful, the most contributing player within the region's respective tournament. And I can't really argue against that. Juggerboy, I think, did so much to bring his team to a second place finish in the end. Of course, it wasn't good enough to beat out the toughest opposition with Melee FTW, but
yeah,
the moments that he's had with the Raven, with those great plays coming in as the Raven, I think it was well deserved. It was the right pick in the end.
Yeah.
And I think it was more due to the fact that, as we said, we really just couldn't pinpoint one single person.
Yeah.
And that's why we might have just had a lot of scatter of votes. I thought Isonus was good, I thought Moon was good, and so on.
Yeah. And, if you had to pick out one single player from the Asia final, I think you would just look at Juggerboy as that one guy who had that singular performance that just carried his team super hard. Whereas, obviously, the most valuable team as a whole working together was Melee FTW. So that's kind of the reasoning behind that one. And I think it does make sense. So in this case, it does make sense to give the MVP over to Juggerboy, even though he didn't go ahead and win the finals. But certainly a very talented player and well-deserving.
And as we know, we do have the Europe part, our final part of this tournament, ready to go in about a little over 3 hours, since we did end the finals a little bit earlier than we expected.
4-0.
We didn't expect it to be that early, but in the end, we have one more part of this tournament left to go. And of course, after that tournament is over, we're going to calculate all the points per game gathered by each and every player within America, Europe, and Asia combined. And we'll award out the Dominator Award.
Yes.
We'll give that out as well for the highest points per game achieved. So just stay tuned for that. I'm sure that will be very exciting to wait out for.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, about 3.5 hours, a little bit over 3 hours until we do get started with that Europe final. So I hope you guys all enjoyed the Asia finals. We certainly did. It was a blast and very back and forth, kind of unexpected, but really great play as well. Congratulations to Melee FTW once again for their big sweeping win of the 4-0 in the Asia final. But guys, we're going to take, I suppose, about a 3.5 hour break, and when we come back, eventually, we will be getting into the European final, our last final of the day. We're doing all 3 today. So I hope you guys join us for that stream a bit later on today, but until then, we'll see you then.